My own brother laughed and called me useless in front of everyone just minutes before his wedding. My parents smiled. His friends laughed louder. Nobody knew I'd spent the last 12 years running into burning buildings while secretly paying the taxes that kept our family's hotel from being taken away. I stayed silent until one guest suddenly froze, stared at the tattoo on my wrist, and whispered 6 words that stopped the entire wedding cold. "You're the firefighter from the Bronx fire." In the next few minutes, the truth I had buried for over a decade would destroy every lie my family believed about me. But what happened after that was something none of us could ever have imagined. That was exactly how my story began. 6 days before my younger brother Victor's wedding, I pulled into the parking lot of my parents' small hotel. The old building looked exactly as I remembered: faded paint, a crooked sign, and flower boxes my mother still watered every morning. I carried a single worn duffel bag. Inside it, beneath a few shirts, lay the only things no one in my family had ever seen: my battalion chief badge, a medal for bravery, and neatly folded dress blues that still carried the faint smell of smoke. My mother hugged me quickly before stepping back. "Marcus, you're just in time. The upstairs room is ready, and tomorrow we need help setting up tables." "I'll take care of it," I answered with a smile. She never asked where I'd come from. She never asked what I did for a living. Downstairs, Victor was surrounded by friends, laughing over seating charts. The moment he spotted me, he grinned. "Perfect! Now we finally have someone to carry all the heavy stuff." His friends laughed. One of them asked, "So, Marcus, what kind of work do you do these days?" Victor answered before I could. Whatever pays this week. My brother's been drifting from one odd job to another for years." More laughter. I forced myself to laugh with them, even though every word landed harder than the burns hidden beneath my sleeves. They saw a man without direction. None of them knew I'd just finished leading firefighters through one of the toughest wildfire responses of the year, or that for 12 years I'd quietly paid this hotel's taxes to keep my parents from losing everything. I picked up another stack of chairs without saying a word. Some fires are easier to survive than family misunderstanding. But I had no idea that before this wedding was over, one unexpected guest would expose the truth I'd spent 12 years protecting, and every person laughing at me would wish they had never spoken those words. What if one tiny detail on your wrist could destroy 12 years of lies in less than a minute? I was about to find out. The wedding venue buzzed with laughter as I carried folding chairs across the lawn. Victor tossed me another stack without even looking my way. "Marcus, hurry up. Guests will be here any minute." "Got it," I replied, setting the chairs in perfect rows. As I reached for another box, my sleeve slipped back just enough to expose the faded tattoo on my left wrist, 999, surrounded by pale burn scars. A man froze several yards away. He stared at me, then slowly walked closer, his face turning white. "I'm sorry, can I see your wrist again?" I hesitated, but rolled my sleeve higher. His eyes instantly filled with tears. It really is you." The music stopped feeling loud. Conversations faded. Victor frowned. "Daniel, what's going on?" Daniel looked at everyone before pointing at me.
"You all think he's just doing odd jobs?" He shook his head. "In 2022, I watched this man run into a burning apartment building in the Bronx while everyone else was running out." Silence swallowed the courtyard. "He went back 9 times. He carried out a mother, her 3 children, an elderly couple, and 3 workers trapped above the flames." Daniel's voice cracked. "I'll never forget that tattoo. Every news station showed it after he received a medal for bravery. Then, without hesitation, he embraced me. 'You saved my niece's life.'" I felt Victor's eyes on me, but I couldn't look at him. For the first time in my life, the truth was standing in the middle of our family, and there was no hiding it anymore. The wedding hadn't even begun, yet everything we believed about each other had already gone up in flames. How do you explain 12 years of sacrifice to people who never once asked where you disappeared to? The hardest fire I ever faced wasn't in a burning building. It was the silence between me and my family. My father closed the reception room door with trembling hands. "Marcus," he whispered, "tell us the truth." I took a slow breath. I joined the United States Fire Administration when I was 20. I started as a firefighter. Today, I'm a battalion chief. No one moved. When the hotel began failing, I saw the overdue tax notices on your desk. I knew you were drowning. College could wait. You couldn't. My mother stared at me in disbelief. So, where did the money come from all these years? I sent it. The property taxes? I paid them. The insurance? I paid that too. For 12 years? A sob escaped her lips. I rolled up my sleeve. Thick burn scars stretched from my wrist almost to my elbow. The Bronx fire did this. Victor stared at the scars, unable to speak. I spent months in a burn rehabilitation center. Every Sunday I called home. Mom, you told me about church flowers, hotel guests, and neighborhood gossip. I smiled sadly. I never told you I was learning how to use my left hand again. Tears streamed down my mother's face. I had no idea. I know. Victor suddenly slammed his hand against the table. I called you useless while you were saving strangers and saving this family. His voice broke. A few sparse male tears rolled down his cheek. I don't know how to live with that. I looked at my little brother, seeing genuine regret for the first time, but I also knew one painful truth. Words can wound, yet only actions can heal. Whether our family could rebuild what 12 years of silence had destroyed remained to be seen. Can one sincere apology erase 12 years of pain? I didn't know the answer, but before sunrise, someone knocked softly on my door. When I opened it, Victor stood there holding 2 paper cups of coffee. I figured you still drink yours black, he said with an awkward smile. I took the cup without speaking. We sat in the hotel porch where we had played as kids, listening to the quiet morning. Finally, Victor broke the silence. I spent years telling everyone my brother was a loser. He lowered his head. The truth is, I never bothered to learn who you really were. His words hit harder than any insult he'd ever thrown at me. He turned around and hugged me, saying, "Brother, forgive me, I was wrong. I'm not asking you to forgive me today, I just want the chance to become your brother again." And once again, I saw tears in his eyes. Hours later, at the wedding reception, I noticed something had changed. My name card was no longer at the overflow table near the kitchen. Victor had moved it to the family table, right beside our parents. Then he stepped to the microphone. "My brother taught me that real heroes don't ask to be seen," he said, looking directly at me. "True heroes, like my brother, quietly and unobtrusively save people's lives and help them by putting out fires small and large." The room fell silent before every guest rose to their feet. A standing ovation filled the hall. I wanted to disappear, but then my father walked over, embraced me with trembling arms, and whispered, "Son, I spent years believing the wrong story. From today on, I'll only tell the truth, that I'm proud to call you my son." I couldn't hold back the tears anymore. Yet, deep inside, I knew the hardest part wasn't earning their respect. It was learning to believe I deserved it long before they finally did. What if the greatest reward for a lifetime of sacrifice wasn't a medal, but finally hearing the words you'd waited years to hear? I never expected my answer would come the morning after the wedding. As the first rays of sunlight touched the old hotel, I loaded my duffel bag into my truck. My uniform rested inside, neatly folded beside the medal that had remained hidden for so many years. Behind me, I heard footsteps. "Leaving already?" my father asked. I nodded. "My shift starts tomorrow." For a long moment, he simply looked at me. Then he placed a weathered envelope in my hand. Inside was the deed to the hotel. "We're not giving it away," he said with a faint smile. "We're adding your name beside ours. You carried this place when we didn't even know we were falling." I couldn't speak. Victor stepped forward next. "No more missed birthdays. No more pretending you're just passing through." He smiled, his eyes still red. "This will always be your home." I pulled both sleeves up before climbing into the truck, revealing the burn scars and the faded 999 tattoo without shame.
Those scars were never signs of what fire had taken from me. They were proof of the lives it had allowed me to save. As I drove away, I realized something that changed me forever. Respect given by others can arrive years too late, but self-respect must never wait for anyone's permission. And now, I want to ask you, if you had been Victor, what would you have done to earn your brother's forgiveness? Let me know in the comments, because sometimes the hardest fires are the ones we accidentally start inside our own families.